What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion, and today we started a carbon conversion on our SP2. So guys, officially the carbon conversion started for this bike, and we have a lot of plans as we said. So the first part is to get all of this body work off, which we're going to start to do. You guys saw us had a lot of fun with this bike. We dynoed it a few times. If you haven't seen those videos, check them out because we had some huge gains with our Krapovich race exhaust and the Brent tuning flash on this bike. Now is the time that we start addressing some of the weight with the carbon parts that we're going to put on, but also some of the aesthetics. As soon as we take all of these body panels off, we get to the inner workings of the bike, which we're going to dress it up a little bit to make it look a little better. And I think something that they should have done from the factory to give this special bike all the special details it needs. And then once all that's done, we'll start putting all the carbon bodywork back on, which includes a carbon subframe. It's going to be a big weight savings of this bike. We do have the tank as well, but I don't think we're going to change the tank on this bike. We're going to leave this brushed aluminum tank because it's such a distinctive feature of the bike. But let's get to it. Let me get all this bodywork off, and then we'll show you the parts that we're going to put on. So guys, I want to show you this piece over here. I took the belly pan off without taking all the bolts off. I left the black bolts right under here. There's a silver bolt that's here, and obviously all the other bolts. Makes it a little quicker if you want to take it off. And obviously the carbon piece that's going to go on is a full carbon belly pan. And we are going to have the stickers to reapply. We actually already have all the stickers from Ducati except the red stuff that's on here. One thing I'm really happy about changing to carbon is if you've ever had any experience with these flat black colored bikes from Ducati, that they're so hard to clean. All the fingerprints get on there, and even with the Motul wash and wax, they don't really come off. So I'm really happy about that. We are keeping our carbon winglets because they do have the stickers that come with the SP2 on it. But other than that, we should probably weigh these steel when we do it because these are massively heavy pieces compared to the carbon pieces. So guys, you guys can probably see a lot of Moto Corsa boxes, and this is one of my favorite upgrades on the Ducatis Panigale V4 and the Street Fighter V4 ever since they brought these bikes out. They made a slight tweak, I think in 22, when the 22 model came out, and it's the rear set mount pieces that they made. You guys saw us put these on our Street Fighter V4 in black. We're going with the silver theme because of this beautiful upper triple that comes on the Panigale V4 SP2, and we want to match everything else. Also the Rizoma rear sets that come on this bike, which really surprised me with the grip that they have. And after all, this is the time attack bike, so they want to put some race parts on there, and these are amazing in terms of grippiness. I think it's going to match this bike beautifully. So this is one of our pieces, and this is for the other side of the bike, so on the brake side. I really think this is jewelry for this bike. This is the right hand side engine mount. I believe this is, yeah, just small details like this. This is the bolt for the kickstand. And you want to, it's a titanium bolt that's made by them. And you're wondering why you changed the bolt for the kickstand, because as you saw on our Street Fighter, we are changing our kickstand. We're going to use this beautiful CNC machine kickstand. And one cool thing is that number one, it has a winglet on it, which looks cool. But if you ever ride any of these bikes, the kickstand is such a hard part to put down. So this little knob that's here is always hidden. You're always trying to find it. This piece that looks like the winglet on it makes it a lot easier for you to locate the kickstand. And we changed this again on the Street Fighter that we have. We made it black on that bike to match the theme, and I think this is going to go amazingly on here. one more part from Moto Corsa, which we're not going to install today, but we'll do it on the next episode. You guys will see. This disc, I don't know if anyone's going to guess where this goes. No, you couldn't guess it? Okay, it goes right up here. Your upper, the head of the bike in the front, the fork head has to be greased. It's not the prettiest looking part of the bike. And this is just a cover that goes on there. So once we take the triple off to do our handlebars, which I'm going to show you in a second, this will slide right on there. And then it adds that little detail. And these are our clip-ons by IMA. Again, you'll see, and I want to say thanks to Patrick at IMA. He made these beautiful pieces for us, and these are their clip-ons. It's almost infinitely adjustable to any bike you want. What's cool is that the handlebars that we're using, they're wider. I love a wide stance on it, on any bike that you ride anyways, because it makes counter steering that much easier. And we'll get to that on the next episode, where we're going to change the complete handlebar setup, including these master cylinders that are on it, because I think that's one of the biggest areas that I was let down with this bike was the brake master cylinder. Even though it comes with an MCS by Brembo, I think it's lacking a lot of the feel and the directness of the brakes, but we'll talk about that on the next episode. So these are our pieces, and I'm really excited because we've had these all along. We've had these before even the bike arrived here. It's just that for the sake of making you guys the content to show, and I know you guys love this bike. You guys have been asking for content on this bike. We really want to show you all the steps of the build process that we have. But I'm going to carefully put these back. Let's start off with all of the Moto Corsa pieces. And on the next episodes, you guys can see what we're going to be up to on the handlebars. The factory aluminum piece. You're going to see it side by side. You be the judge which one looks better. I think 99.9% of the people will say this side, unless you cannot see. One thing you want to try to avoid is the absolute highest ranges and the lowest ranges on the torque wrench, because that's where they have the most deviation from the actual setting. Obviously, we're not building an engine here, so it doesn't really matter that much. But in this case, what do we say? 66 foot-pounds. There we go. 66 foot-pounds. So up next is this part, and what I love about this part is not this part, but the exhaust, how nice it blued. And I'm gonna like it more once we change this black piece that's there. So we're first gonna take these rear set bolts out. Put it away. There we go. And as I mentioned, these parts are different on the 22 bikes because of the ride height change that it has. The ones that are for 21s and older will not fit. And if you receive a Moto Corsa piece, if you realize it'll say MY22, which means model year 22 and above for these pieces. Because when you go to put it in place, you're going to see some of the bolts are not going to line up because of the ride height change. I think it's one of the nicest pieces you could put on these bikes in terms of aesthetic upgrades. You always want to be careful with anything that's a pinch bolt, because it's technically pinching this piece in. And if you over torque it, you will crack this piece. I've seen so many front forks and some of the upper triple bolts on bikes cracked, and that's because people just don't follow the torque specs. Well, this side is done, guys. If you take a look, I think it looks a lot better than what we started before. This black piece was there and this is cast aluminum. Nothing wrong with it. It's just, I think aesthetically, it's not the best looking part of the bike. And on top of it, when you add all of these CNC machine parts on the bike, it was kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, when you take a look at it, it looks really cool. And now it's also matching our right-hand side engine mount. It's time to jump on the other side of the bike. Let's change all that stuff. We're first going to start off by removing our kickstand that's here. And that's with a 10 mil at the back and 12 mil at the front. Just be mindful that there is a spring in here. And we're going to reuse this spring. That's our stock kickstand. I'll put it next to the Moto Corsa for you guys to see it. Next is this kickstand side switch. And these are 3mm little Allen bolts that are in place. These come right off. Don't throw these away, we're going to reuse them. And it looks like they do have a little bit of Loctite on them. And I don't think they're permanent Loctite. You don't want to use permanent Loctite on some of such small bolts. But that's out of the way now. And next we can start taking off all these bolts. This is what it's replacing. It's obviously missing one part that we have here. So if you want to come take a look, I'll put them side by side for a comparison. And also, if you're a track day guy, it comes with this piece right here. This piece is the kickstand delete. So it goes like this in case you're not going to use your kickstand on a track day bike or on a race bike that you're using. And if you're using the kickstand, you use this piece. You'll see it looks fairly similar to the factory piece that we took off. So we're going to go ahead and put this back on the bike. I'm going to feed this through right down here. Cool, so that piece is somewhat on. These bushings came off where the kickstand bolt is. And we have our little switch to put on too. And for these, I'm just gonna grab a dab of blue Loctite, just a tiny little piece. So I'm going to first try to put the pivot bolt in place, and then I'll see if I could compress this spring enough to be able to put the spring on before I tighten everything. That kind of works. So guys, that's it for this episode, but by all means, it's not it for this bike. There's a lot more going on. As you see, we're gonna leave it like this for this episode, but on the next episode, we're gonna get onto the clip-ons. We're gonna change the clutch and brake masters. Even we're gonna put the MotoGP style buttons on this bike. And once that's all done, we'll start putting all the carbon bodywork back on the bike. We're gonna have one challenge, and you guys will get to see it when we put the subframe back on with this beautiful exhaust system. You have to stay tuned to see what the challenge is. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a great one.